Hello and welcome everybody. I am Dr. Asawari Sawant, Senior Sub-Editor at Elets Technomedia, India's leading and largest B2B multimedia platform. And on behalf of Elets Technomedia and the Banking and Finance Post magazine, I extend a warm welcome to all of you to the series Elets Fintech Dialogues, which is in collaboration with the Department of Electronics, IT, Biotechnology and Science and Technology from Government of Karnataka. This exclusive series is an integral part of the World Fintech Summit, which is an upcoming 2-day premier event by Elets Technomedia that brings together the global fintech leaders and BFSI community. From policymakers and industry leaders to innovators and key stakeholders, the summit fosters meaningful collaborations that are aimed at driving innovation and growth in financial services worldwide. We are honored to have the Department of Electronics, IT, Biotechnology, and Science and Technology, Government of Karnataka as our host state partner, alongside the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission as our strategic partner for the World Fintech Summit. The Elets Fintech Dialogue, our series that celebrates trailblazing leaders and innovators whose fintech-driven initiatives are transforming lives and industries. And today we are privileged to host an inspiring entrepreneur who has been instrumental in revolutionizing the BFSI industry in India. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome Ms. Bhavna Sachar, who is the Director of Product Marketing at Gupshup. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us. It is an honor to have you with us today.
Thanks so much, Asawari. It's my pleasure to be here.
Great. So, for our audience, Ms. Bhavna is a seasoned product marketing leader with over 15 years of experience with conversational AI, digital transformation, and enterprise technology marketing. As a director of product marketing at Gupshup, she drives go-to-market strategies, product positioning, and sales enablement, helping buyers make informed product investment decisions, enhance customer engagement, and optimize spends through AI and conversations. Previously, Ms. Bhavna has led product marketing at Alagami and Manthan, focusing on AI-driven personalization. At Wipro, she played a key role in product marketing and business development, shaping the market strategy for just informed AI and automation offerings. She also brings valuable experience from her time in Proviti in consulting, risk advisory, and process optimization. Ms. Bhavna holds MBA from SP Jain School of Global Management and a bachelor's in business studies from Shahid Sukhdev College of Business Studies. She is passionate about analyzing evolving customer expectations and specializes in storytelling through product marketing and helping enterprises navigate the complex digital landscape. So thank you once again, ma'am, for joining us for this very special episode of Elets Fintech Dialogue. Let us start with our conversation. We are very curious to know your thoughts on how the conversational AI is transforming the way that fintech companies engage with their customers, particularly in areas like customer support, lending, and payments. Over to you.
Sure, happy to. This is such a relevant topic right now, and the space is changing so rapidly. So it helps to, talk about, share what we are seeing around us today. Specifically to your question about conversational AI for fintech, I think this is one of the early adopters of the whole AI space, right? Which is really unique about India, first of all, because the whole banking ecosystem or UPI is recognized everywhere. So anything that's happening new in technology, India seems to be the first one to adopt, and specifically the banking and financial services. And despite all the regulatory pressures that it faces, so some of the broad themes that I think this is really impacting is it's helping create more personalized experiences, it's helping drive efficiency within how the business operations are done. It's also making finance accessible to various people, right? So it's not just limited to a certain segment of the society or just to the urban elites, but it's really, you know, percolating through the grassroots and it's being available to everybody. So, initiatives like whether it is multilingual experiences which are happening in voice, for example, which enables a grandma who is sitting somewhere in Nagaland and she doesn't speak any other language. She is now able to access and have a conversation with her banking provider and get the information that she needs. Specifically, I think there is customer support as an area which is really ripe. We are seeing a fundamental shift from being very reactive and troubleshooting something which has already happened to now proactively, driving self-serve. So there are examples where 80% of the inquiries that a customer has about, how do you open an account, how do I, if they get an alert for their KYC being due, how they can do this without ever having to talk to somebody or dialing a phone number or walking into a branch. So the whole, the fact that all of this can be done without human intervention is dramatically reducing wait time. And it's available 24 by 7. So if I am a busy professional, I cannot go to the bank, before my work hours, and it's only after 8 p.m. that I can actually, do something which is personal, look for an insurance. It's available 24 by 7. And I'm not burdening the bank by adding extra resources. Um, Another key thing that what's changed about AI is that it's becoming so much more contextual. So if I, as an individual, have a certain profile, I'm risk averse versus really tolerant of risk, it's going to remember my previous interactions. It's going to give me recommendations based on what my profile is. It'll authenticate me. There are also, voice biometrics, which is really on the cutting edge right now. So, uh, one of our customers, what they really were able to do, and this is specifically an insurance provider, they were able to reduce their support calls by 45% by enabling customers to get information about their policy details, even raise a claim, check the status of the claim, get answers to, hey, is this covered or not, just by using these quick techniques, and they don't have to wait on anyone. Um, the other space which is really evolving really rapidly is lending, and I think arguably it's the one which is experiencing the most dramatic transformation. um, the access to credit, and we've been seeing how the entire microfinance category has opened up. The whole idea is to democratize access to credit by making the application process more conversational rather than them having to go and fill a complicated form, sign up and accept terms and conditions they don't really understand. So the whole AI agent space is helping customers guide through that entire process. You can get information in plain language, skipping all the jargon which overwhelms you. Get the entire financial plan created in a few minutes. And of course, there is humans available if you want, to get more details and you want to talk to an expert. That always is necessary. So it's not about, replacing that valuable expertise, but augmenting all of that. I spoke a little bit about voice earlier, and I think when people talk about conversational AI, this is something that gets skipped because it's just so new. So people who are not tech savvy, or sometimes you're on the move, right? You're driving, you're in the metro, and you would rather talk to somebody than type elaborate text messages. So how you can, do this entire process? So I'll give you one example over here. uh, for lending companies, we know that voice, generating leads through these outbound calls is something which is bread and butter for them. Now just very recently, we've been doing an exercise with one such companies. We've been able to augment their whole lead generation process using AI, and we saw stellar results. So, and this is, a short window, so things may change, but we've been able to beat the industry benchmark of conversions 4 times over. So if they were getting just 5 leads as a result of that, now they've been able to get 20 leads out of the same database. Um, and there's a lot of technical details that go behind making a good voice experience, because unlike text, you expect the responses to be really quick. Like a 5 second or even a 2 second pause will be very awkward, right? So latency is very important. Good accents, the ability to handle interruptions, right? So right now we are having a conversation. So if you say something, I'll stop because I know probably you want to raise a point. But will AI be able to do that? And we've been able to see that AI can actually manage that, and it'll stop and it'll say, "Hey, sorry, you were saying something." It'll let the other person ask that question and then resume from where they are. And Also, of course, the whole industry and domain understanding is very important. So it's not a one size fits all, that once you build an AI capability, it's going to be applicable everywhere. So being grounded in whether it's for insurance, for lending, for investments, for banking is critical as well.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Just a curious question on the same note. So, as BFSI industry or the fintech industry, as the name suggests, are the first ones for adopting any emerging technology or new trend that is coming up in the market when it comes to tech adoption. How has the response been with the industry, the finance industry, BFSI industry, majorly when it comes to conversational AI? What are your experiences with that? And where do you see India is positioned as of now, and how far do we need to go still? Just your candid thoughts on the same.
No, I think that's a great question. You know, what I do perceive based on the interactions with customers is that people have a very huge appetite, right? And they are willing to try something which is really new. The voice AI example that I just gave you, I don't think it would have worked in other markets because people are so much more cautious. And here they're like, hey, this is new, give it to me. It's okay if it fails. But so that whole tolerance for failure needs to be there to, innovate. Otherwise, if you want everything to be successful, you will not end up innovating. I'll probably give you another example. In entire financial services, KYC is a big deal, right? Because it's regulatory driven. You have to do it once every X months or X years. There is re-KYC. So there's a lot of overload or burden on the institution for doing this. And it's necessary, but does it add value in terms of drive revenues for them? Not really, right? In my personal example, I know that a few years earlier, my RM would call me. They would say that, hey, can you come to the branch with these documents? Or, I'll say them, hey, can you please send a person home or to my office because I'm busy? Now, all of that is going away, right? Already there are banks like, some of the forward ones like Federal Bank, which are doing KYC on WhatsApp itself. They were previously cautious about like, hey, is this going to work? Is my data going to leak? Are the customers going to be comfortable using this? But with the convenience and adoption they've seen, they're sold, right? And they've now realized how seamless this can be. And some of these are really emerging as pioneers and poster boys for others to adopt and learn from.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So, our next question is, with hyper personalization becoming a key differentiator in financial services, how can fintech firms leverage AI powered messaging to enhance customer experiences? Some of the examples that you have showed that, Federal Bank adopting WhatsApp and, to make things more convenient. But, AI powered messaging to enhance customer experiences, if you can share more thoughts on the same.
Yeah, and I think the topic of personalization I feel close to because I've been involved in this space for a few years, even in my previous roles. And what I find amusing is that while everybody's talking about it, it's more of a misnomer than actually happening on ground, right? So even if you're just adding somebody's name in an email campaign or in a message, you think you've personalized it. But are you really understanding what the person is looking for? Can you access the past history of the person, your whole first party database? And maybe, you might have done some surveys to understand them more deeply. Are you using that information? So the more sophisticated ones, of course, are doing that. They would use data like somebody's transaction history, their credit scores. Are they a traveler versus a shopper versus a diner, and hence which credit card is more relevant for them, right? What offers would somebody appreciate? What are the pre-approved loans that you can offer to somebody based on their credit history? But I think still one of the things that seems to be missing is because we are talking about conversational AI, and this happens on the new age channels like, website chat or WhatsApp or RCS or even Instagram and so on. There's a lot of signals that come out of those conversations, right? So while you are capturing some intelligence in your CRM or whatever database that you use, or even in your core banking systems, do you know where did somebody drop off in the funnel? So if you are a marketer and you sent me an offer, or I saw an ad somewhere on Facebook and I clicked on it and entered on it, Did I click through on the message? Where did I drop off? So did I select that which particular, in the case of a car loan, did I select what is the actual car model that I'm looking for? Um, did I provide my PAN number? Did I tell them what is the amount of loan I'm looking for? And so, maybe there are 5 things that you want to know about a person before you can say they are qualified or they are interested in that loan. Now, if I dropped off at point 2, were you able to capture that signal and continue the journey after that or not? Because if you're not, then you're missing out, right? Then you next time you're going to start from scratch and going to ask me the questions that I've already answered. So this is an example that we also saw with a fintech that is specializes in two-wheeler loans. They use these ads to drive lead generation, qualify the leads, guide users through an interactive experience. So customers could apply for loan, book a test drive, and also connect with human agents because that's a valuable input as well. And they saw that their qualified leads went up by around 2.5x. Now, if somebody became unresponsive after selecting the vehicle, you know their interest and your reminders should be personalized based on that. Now, do we come across some of these examples? Probably far and few in between, right? Not too many of them. So there is definitely scope for doing more. Um, the other area that I think of is predictive intelligence, right? So just the understanding of who is going to be more responsive to a new product that you're launching, an offer that you have in store. And otherwise, if you know already that of the 100 people that you're targeting, 20 are anyway less than 50% likelihood that they will engage with this, then why spam them, right? So how can you use predictive intelligence, propensity scoring models to do all of this? And most companies have this data, but the gap is actually putting that to use. So the whole idea is to also anticipate customers' need before customers articulate them to you, right? And know who is likely to engage with what.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, we are also curious to know that, with increasingly digital first world, with adoption of AI and emerging tech, many, organizations are working towards providing a seamless omni-channel customer journey experience, so that they are able to provide that kind of experience also through the information that they already have gathered, are able to pinpoint as to what the needs are. So how are AI powered communication platforms helping in this, and what more can be done so that the people watching this show, which are industry leaders themselves, get ideas and good suggestions.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very relevant question because although we've come a long way, I would sort of admit very candidly that the experience today is still broken, right? You send a message to somebody, you send an email, but there is no way for me to respond back and get an answer immediately to my question. If I am interested in a home loan and I have a very specific question about, hey, what are the pre-closure charges? Because I anticipate that even if I'm taking the loan for 20 years, what if I close it in 10 years? Um, what are the implications? Are there extra charges? And there's nobody to help me unless I really, you know, set an appointment, walk into the branch. Also, what are the documents that will be needed so I know how ready I am? So all of this is something there is a huge scope for improvement. So and we are seeing companies sort of recognizing this and taking steps towards changing all of that. In fact, there are examples where uh, you know for personal loans, for two-wheeler loans, and all of that, there is also soft approval which is happening within the conversational channel itself, because you have enough information about the customer, you take them through a journey, and as long as you're getting the answers to that question, you say that, hey, your loan is soft approved. Now, chances are 90% of though your decision is correct because it's automated. And 10% of those, after a human expert looks at it, might go either way. But that's huge, right? because now this is fixed both from an efficiency standpoint for the provider, and it's a much better experience for the customer. The other thing that I often think about is that while the focus on goals is important and AI needs to be goal driven, so if your goal is for somebody to apply for insurance, come to your website and apply for insurance, and you're taking them through a journey, answering questions, but that's what you're trained on, that hey, keep asking them, like, do you want to fill the insurance form? Do you want to get a call back from an expert and all of that? It's important to strike the right balance, right? Because if you are just looking at that goal, then you lose that human connection and you're not able to engage the person. So don't lose sight of the objective. You want to get the application completed, you want to get the KYC done, but don't put the customers off by doing that. Give them what they need as well, just like how a human would do, right? They would balance the whole experience. So it's really essential, because we also see that while we are talking about fintech, as a consumer, I get influenced and I shape my experiences based on what I'm experiencing from e-commerce today, from quick commerce today, right? My interactions with other industries. And I say that, hey, why can't my bank also provide me this kind of instant service? So it's really essential for, fintech survival, and the ones who adopt this are really going to flourish in the coming days. Um, yeah, I think there's, the importance of thinking about where the dialogues are happening, and the modalities should include both AI and human agents, because over anchoring on just one is definitely not going to be enough, right? Because I may inquire about an investment plan on a WhatsApp chat, or on the chat which is on the website, or I go to the mobile app and I talk about it. So you need to be present everywhere on these channels, because different people want to use different modalities, or even voice calls. I may start with an interaction with a virtual assistant, but after 5 questions, I have something very specific and I really want to have a chat with an expert. And this needs to happen without context. When the conversation shifts to a human expert, they should know, what have I spoken about previously with the AI? Otherwise, it's going to be very frustrating for me to repeat this whole thing. So that's where, data becomes very, very important. So the whole unified profile needs to come together. So the human expert or human agent gets a complete view of the history and their channel preferences and their profile, and then they're able to take it forward from there rather than having to start from scratch.
Definitely, ma'am. And you, in a way, covered my other question as well, which was, having a balance between AI-driven automation and human intervention, which will keep on evolving forever. And the more we have the data, the more we have the understanding. Of course, our software and our systems all together will work better and more efficiently. But moving on to our next question, which is, according to you, what are the biggest challenges that fintech companies are facing when positioning AI-driven products? And how can effective product marketing help in accelerating that kind of adoption? Marketing plays a big role, we all know, but we want to know experts' opinions from you.
Yeah, no, this is a topic which is very close to my heart, as a product marketer, and just as a we know that everybody thinks that they are a marketer, right? Everybody thinks that, hey, I could have also written this, I could have also come up with this, but it's not so straightforward, because we have to remember that it's not just about technology, right? That's the enabler. There is also, it requires a change in mindset, it requires internal buy-in, which means that people also need to sort of understand how their traditional systems are working, what is the human impact of things, will people be ready to adopt this? So good news is that uh, fintechs are innovators, so they aren't resistant, but there is a tendency to do things in-house, which is great, but you have to sort of take a call, and pick the battles that you want, right? Because you don't want to be counterproductive. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes to get the product to, the MVP or the minimum viable stage, so that it can start performing, and then you quickly get feedback from the market. And if you get caught up in those cycles, you can keep, you may lose track of what's happening internally, because, like I said, the space is moving so fast that by the time you get to your MVP, the market might have moved somewhere else. But I think, just to your point on, the biggest challenge in marketing and positioning this AI driven fintech is overcoming the trust gap, right? As a customer, if somebody talks to me and gives me jargon, I will hesitate, right? Because these are tough financial decisions, and I don't probably don't want to use them, hand them to technology. I want to be handheld through this entire process. So the whole idea is to focus on outcomes or the customer's journey rather than technology. Now, if imagine a message where we say that, hey, we are using advanced neural networks. What does, for the layman, it doesn't mean anything. While that is correct, but you want to emphasize that what this means for you is that you will receive instant investment recommendations that are based on your risk profile. Now that makes sense to me, right? So how do you, so your whole positioning is about what the customer cares about, and not overwhelm them with technology. And differentiation is definitely crucial, right? Every fintech company that we know of claims to use AI, but how do you articulate the value very clearly, right? How do you define that narrative around the customer's problems, their goals, their lifestyle, their hesitations, what are they worried about? So I think the real customer stories with specific metrics. So, one good application of AI is around preventing fraud or even misuse of a stolen credit card, right? So if you're able to talk about specific stories of where you were able to prevent misuse of a lost credit card, that's immediate. That immediately resonates with me, right? And you can also educate the customer, and they will start trusting you more and more.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And on the same note that you were saying about fraud detection, yes, many companies are adopting AI and emerging technology for fraud prevention and fraud detection. But at the same time, the same technology is also in the hands of fraudsters. So for the consumers and for the organizations, going forward with adopting technology, there are many hesitancies that they innately have, just thinking that though it because it is a technology, it is some system, there are risks and of data breaching and lack of privacy, etc. So what are your thoughts on how with increasing regulatory scrutiny on AI and data privacy, how can fintech firms ensure compliance while also delivering AI powered customer engagement solutions, making sure that all the technical aspects are in place, but at the same time the checks and balances are also there in place?
Yeah, I think this is a very valid concern, and especially with generative AI, right? There are concerns about hallucinations. Is it giving the right information out? you know Very famously, we've seen examples of companies deploying a generative AI chatbot and it just making stuff up which is not true at all. So you don't want to be in that position where you're saying, hey, for home loan I'm offering a 2% interest rate, when the reality is it's at 10%, and then you're bound by it, and it goes into the courtroom. So those are very valid concerns. I think, you know there are some specific techniques that uh, around, how do you guardrail the entire system. So it's not inventing facts and getting you in trouble. So there are examples, so where some of our customers, they've deployed what is called the RAG system, retrieval augmented generation, which ensures accuracy and relevance because it is trained to answer questions which are only within the domain. So if you start asking it to write poetry, it's going to politely decline, saying, hey, that's not something that I'm trained for. I can help you with these specific areas only. You refer to only the approved sources. You also make sure that and that's there's a lot of complexity where there might be like 5 different AI agents which are working in sync to get the right response for you. And it's figuring out, as you ask the question, which source to go and check for. If you're asking about offer, it'll look at the offer database. If you're asking about a policy related question, it'll refer to that. If you're asking about your particular circumstance on, I had filed for a complaint, it'll go and look at your profile and say what's the history and what the latest status is. So the whole idea is to look at approved sources only, guardrail, know that it should not answer certain questions. There is also techniques like negative reinforcement training that we do, where it says that, hey, this is a sample, these are the kind of things you should never answer. So just like how you do positive reinforcement, you do negative reinforcement as well, and you maintain the high quality of responses. So there are several banks where the AI has been able to achieve 90 to 95% AI accuracy, which is commendable.
That is great, ma'am. Thank you for sharing those. So we come down to the last two questions for our series, which are like a tradition that we ask in this series. One being, looking ahead, what are the emerging trends do you see that will be shaping the intersection of conversational AI and financial technology for the next, I would not say 10 years or anything like that, because we're working very fast, we're moving very fast. So for the next 2 to 5 years, what emerging technology and trends do you see would be the big it?
Yeah, I think one thing, even as we are looking at technology trends and what's new and what's happening, it's important to remember that financial decisions are often very emotional, right? And there's a lot of behavioral finance behind it as well. So that's likely not going to change. What we have to look at is, um, a combination of using data and proof points, but then presenting it in a storytelling format to people, right? So that they and just basically understand how the human mind works, so that you're able to tailor the responses, you're able to understand what the financial goals of people are. So that stays as it is. What is going to change, and what I am anticipating, is that there's this whole game changing space of where conversational AI and fintech are going to converge, right? And um, a lot of the companies now themselves, instead of being a bank, instead of being an insurance company, they are a tech company themselves. So we are expecting that hyper personalized financial advice is going to become a mainstay. In fact, there is, I think it's probably closer than 2 years and 5 years, which is RM for everyone. So right now we have relationship managers which are provided only to premier customers, but then with AI it becomes possible to make everybody feel like a premium customer. And it understands your transactions, it understands your goals and habits. There is also, I'm expecting that voice first banking is going to become mainstream. It's probably it's starting to happen, but of course the adoption is very low, maybe in single digits right now in percentage. And AI assistants really handling those complex tasks like um, loan applications, investment strategies, tracking the market movements, insurance recommendations, because it's a very complex product and you need to understand everybody's profile, right? You need to understand, is the person a smoker or non-smoker, what's their age, how many kids, what are the dependents, and hence what is the cover you want to recommend to them. So I think we are sort of very close to a place where AI is going to start predicting the financial needs of people before they even realize this. I mean, seems to be the stuff of science fiction, but I think with the kind of change acceleration that we've seen over the last few years, it's I won't be surprised anymore. So it is definitely an exciting time, and just talking about chatbots anymore, we are really talking about these AI companions that truly understand and anticipate your financial life and decisions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We are very excited for all the things that you've shared. Another thing that we want to be very excited for is the last question that we ask to all our leaders that join us is, a tradition that, on here on FinTech Dialogues, we would request you to share one piece of information that hasn't been revealed on any other platform yet. Maybe it's a future project that you're working towards, or something that you can share about an upcoming launch, etc. Making sure it is not shared on any other platform yet, exclusively for Fintech Dialogue audience.
I think there are a few launches that we've actually done in the past, so I think we'll have to stick to that. I'm not in a position to share anything more at this point of time, but you know, what we are going to be launching is additional AI agents which are industry specific. So we've launched a few for fintech already, which is for lending, for insurance, and for banking as well. I think we are planning to go into some additional areas, including voice AI assistants, which are right now in beta mode with us. So that's probably the next launch that you are the first one to hear about.
Thank you so much, and we are very glad for you to be able to share this with us. I'm sure our audience is also very excited, looking forward to this. With that, we come down to the end of a very insightful session. Thank you so much, ma'am. We had Ms. Bhavna Sachar, who is the Director of Product Marketing at Gupshup.ai. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you, with us today and this discussion. I'm sure the audience also was very excited, and stayed with us till the very end. If the audience has any questions for Ms. Bhavna or for the organization, leave them in the comments down below. We will get back to you with those answers. Also, if you have any suggestions for any other leaders or organizations you would like to see on this series, leave those in the comments, all your suggestions down below as well. We will make sure to have those leaders with us for the next episode. With that, we come down to the very end. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. I had a great time.
Same here. And we sign off now. Stay informed with us on the latest financial technologies. Thank you. Bye bye.